Who of you wishes to hear stories on how to get 10-time payback of a project in a year? A few. Which of you would prefer to hear stories how to get your money back 100 times in 1 year? Not bad. My name is Petri Malmelin. I'm a co-founder of Taival Advisory, and the topics I will be discussing today with you relate to process mining or process discovery, the transformation, but surprisingly a lot of the success is about the people and the high-performance team on leading and inspiring the people to do the change. The technology part, the data, application, AI, those are actually the easier part of the story. In my presentations, some of the pictures will have a red spot on up corner. That's with a question mark. That's an indicator where I throw a question to you. I may ask you to talk to your neighbor. Does everybody have a neighbor here? You are alone, you need to turn around then. And some of the slides will have a green exclamation mark. That's a summary page. Let me warn you. I will be a bit provocative because I want you to have your opinion of the topic. And also I want to warn you, I will take us downhill for a moment before we start to climb up the hill. Is it okay? And I need to have you good energy levels because I need your help. Okay, a practice round here. So, a red question mark. Anybody in the audience, what is DDT? Poison, insecticide, correct. So, DDT was an insecticide that was broadly used in 50s, 60s, 70s to kill malaria. Unfortunately, it is poisonous and it has a nasty way of bioaccumulating in the food chain. Luckily, it's broadly banned nowadays. What this has to do with us? Well, imagine this being the data pyramid of an enterprise, of a big company. We have down here some master data. We may have ERP, CRM processes there in the middle. And then we start to aggregate data for the decision making. In a big company, we can get 1 million lines of data per day. A smaller company, maybe it's 1 million lines of data per year. But this is roughly the rules. And now what we have here is that most of the data, most of the flows are green. Unfortunately, we do have DDT in the corporate systems. So, the corporate environment, the process and data environment, mimics how the world works with the poison. Data is dust for most corporations, and it includes DDT. And dear CFOs, COOs, and other senior folks in the room, you have no clue what's happening in your company. Any comments? Oh, and there's no red spot there. Okay. Second question, how does order to cash process, and pick just one process here, but how does it look? Any kind of, any volunteer stating that, how does order to cash, how would you describe it? How does it look? Okay, we have an expert here, Fauzia says it's complicated, but in general, it can be a mess, and I'll show you in a minute how messy it can be. But when I go to an ask from an executive and ask, hey, what's your order to cash process? This is what they do. They draw it on a flip chart for me, and they said, well, I have some master data there, but first we capture the order, then we source it from the warehouse or from the factory. We do pick, pack, and ship. We deliver the goods. We send the invoice. We get the money on time. We close the books. Happy end. So we people tend to think that a lot of processes are linear and simple. Ooh, how wrong we are when we fool ourselves by stating that that's the case. Processes are not linear. They are not stable. They are not a lot of things. But processes are complex, ever-changing, and they hide a lot of errors. They hide this DDT in there. For the next 30 seconds, talk with your neighbor. How do you define the word report? Any brave who wants to give the perfect definition for the word report in the room? Anybody? Please, sir. Report is analyzed data. Let's take another one, sir. Shows the truth. I just remember the DDT story and all that. Too much useless information. Well, very good definitions. Reports are, they tend to have numbers with decimals, and we people, our brains tend to believe that that's the truth and nothing else but the truth. They are predefined questions with a given format. A period report, profitability report, customer report, warehouse inventory reports, and so forth. Reports are things that dull our brains. I remember I promised that I will be a bit provocative here. Any of you handle reports per month or per week? Come on. Right. So our brains are impacted and infected with reports. Second trial. This is a picture credited to NASA. So this is one of the Endeavour or one of those one of the 2 or 3 devices they have there. So again, turn to the same neighbor and now try to define the word discovery. What is discovery? Gentleman on the behind was the first hand. It could be that. What else is discovery? Digging information. Mm-hmm. Still a third trial or answer? These are correct too. That's a good one. To find something that hasn't been defined, or discovering something that we didn't know that exists there. Yes. So discovery is unpredictable. When we are in the corporate environment, we need to do it cross-functionally. We need to remember the pyramid. We have silos there. So the logistics folks, they really don't understand where the master data comes from. The finance folk, the controller, they look at the period and reports, and they really don't understand what's the mess up with the logistics in the warehouse, in the deliveries. So when we do discovery, we realize that we are looking things across the functions, across the silos. And therefore, we need it to be a team effort. But most importantly, discovery is not dulling our brains, as reports are doing. Discovery is activating our brains. And when we are clever, we find from the dust, we start to find gold nuggets, diamonds. And when that happens, we get excited, and that type of work is rewarding. Okay. Let's spend 10 seconds quietly thinking that how does your company's bright, sunny future look? I see the beamer, it looks really bright. How are you getting there? Are you getting there with evolution or revolution? I know several companies who are year after year doing cost cutting, stripping things, squeezing things, having these consultations, reducing workforce. Can any company become the best in Finland, the best in Europe, the best in the world, just by squeezing things? I see several people shaking their heads. No. So, a key question, and now I'm giving you 1 full minute time to talk with your neighbor. What prevents companies of doing these changes? What prevents the digitalization? Let's take 4 answers because we have 4 sections here. Somebody from this section, what prevents?
One word, fear.
Fear. Good one. Second section, what prevents? Correct processes. Okay. What prevents? Section 3. What do you mean? Oh yes, we have seen a few mobile companies or some others. Yes, true. What prevents? Legacy, meaning the way we have been doing things for the past decades. Absolutely. Let's make another round still. We have time for this. First section, another one. What prevents us? Cultural things. Good one. Resources. All correct. And if we continue this for a while, we would get 20, 30 top most recent. I'm giving you one that seldom people tend to think. We are prisoners of the way how the companies have been running for decades. Let me ask that way around. Is there somebody in this room who does not, is there somebody in the room who is the company who does not have annual budgeting? Is there somebody in the room? There's one person. Are you a student or? There's another, sorry. There are two persons, excellent. For majority of us, we make budgets for the next year. Now it's 2018, we make a budget for 2019. We set our incentive models, we set our targets for the leaders, for the middle management, for the workers. And those targets, dear friends, those are paralyzing us. Those are freezing us of doing changes. That's one driver. So, why don't we plan and execute breathtaking digital transformations? A green spot, this is a summary of what we've heard. We are drowning to data dust. We are reading reports, they are dulling us. We are working in the functional silos. My boss is in finance, he or she gets the instruction from that silo. We are losing customer centricity because we are such a beautiful, nice, matrix, big organization. But the customers, they are not visible in our organization chart. We don't realize we have plenty of DDT there because our reports are providing numbers with 2 decimals. They must be correct and nothing else but correct. No, they are not. We are living from the last millennia models there, and we are afraid of change because we have failed so many times in doing changes. Summary of section 1. Are we ready to move on? Away from the dark. Remember I said that we go down first and then we start to climb up. Let's talk about automated process discovery or process mining as it is also well known. Technically, it's a simple thing. We look at our information pyramid and we accept the fact that there might be some DDT particles in the systems. We take data from one central system, ERP, CRM, whatever, we take, or IT ticketing system if you want to see how well our IT processes are working. We take data and then we convert that into indisputable process pictures. Technically, it's very simple. The tool, I think there will be demo today. This is not all you get there. You get really cool analysis with further questions these pictures may raise to you. And what do you need? Not much. You need a process, a transactional process where you have unique identifications like a purchase order number or IT ticket number. I'd love to do this in healthcare. That would be then a person ID would be the unique ID there. We need steps in the process, so we need to, it needs to be something where things flow on, and when things flow on, we change the status or the phase, and we record the timestamp. So those 3 things are only needed in the data to create automatically create process mining pictures. It will greatly help if you then add their dimension data. One case we did some years ago with QPR, we took this type of data from order to cash process and we took their roughly 30 data dimensions to go with. So they were, for example, the customer name, the address where the goods were delivered, they were the weight of the package if it had a weight, they were the currency, and a lot of things that you get easily from ERP. So that's what it needed. That's the technical perspective. Process discovery, process mining, what it is. It's the way to end opinions, the bulk of opinions in your company. I see a few persons smiling here. I guess you have experience on this. And why? Because we can use it for 2 purposes. We can use it for the evolution. We can go and discover things that we didn't realize that are there. And there, the aim is to get the 10-time payback in the first year. Or, that's the evolution part. Or, we can be brave and bold, and we can aim for the revolution, and there we raise the bar, and we aim for 100-time payback in the first 12 months. Some people are nodding, some people are looking a bit suspicious. Let's move on. I said earlier that it's a dynamic way of creating, the data can be converted into dynamic process pictures, and what type of processes, order to cash, procure to pay, R&D. We have a really, really exciting case in the R&D. Actually, QPR, not doing it here, but QPR is a company who is making software. And a question to a software company is that, what is the value of your digital inventory? So any company in the room who are having big R&D team, digital inventory works with the very same laws as the physical inventory. You do not want to accumulate work into your digital software inventory too much. You want to get it out quickly with good quality, send it out, send the invoice, collect the cash, and keep the inventory low. A lot of R&D environments do not realize this, that they are wasting money and time by doing things into the warehouse that are never sold from there. So, dynamic, what does it mean? Let's take an example of this 10-time case. So this is how it works. Maybe I'll stand in this corner. We have a imagined, planned order-to-cash process. So first we take data from one system, ERP system, to the discovery team. They click a few things there, and voila, the system automatically generates the helicopter view of the process. Is there somebody in the room who has not done this before? A few. Okay. I'm fine with the helicopter view. This is quite close to what I was expecting, but except that I see the red arrow indicating that a lot of invoices are going slowly out. I think we should send invoices quicker out because our money is stuck there. Well, I'd like to see more details. Well, with one click, you can see more details, but now I'm lost. There are too much details. So maybe I'd like to know that, let's get back to the helicopter view, and the question is that, how does my 3 biggest countries behave? Or 3 biggest customers in this case. And voila, within a few seconds, I can see that this is my biggest customer, it behaves that way, second biggest this way, third biggest that way. And by the way, these are blurred on purpose because it doesn't matter what is in the boxes. Now, the interesting thing here is that human eye is excellent in spotting differences. Now, talk to your neighbor for 10 seconds. The 3 cases I just showed, were they rather similar or were they rather different? You saw something for 5 seconds, 10 seconds ago, talk to your neighbor, were the 3 cases looking similar or were they looking different? Time up. Okay. All together, say words similar or different based on your observations. So which one were they? Were they? Okay, different one. Let's go back there. They were quite different. And this raises the question, why? Our 3 biggest countries or 3 biggest customer processes, we are delivering the same service, the same products. Why on earth are they different? Then we start to drill in. For the first one, we look at the invoicing part and we see that, oh no, they are sending their invoices. That's the reason why our global average is showing that we are losing money, because this team over there, they are really slow in sending out invoices. The peak is there 25 days from the day where it could be. The second one, it's a mess. How can they do this? Don't they have a management in that country? What's wrong with those guys there? The third one, in Finland there's a dance called Letka Jenka, and it goes like this. 1, 2, 3 steps forward, 2 steps backwards. 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward. So the third one is a Letka Jenka process, isn't it? Who can afford to do that? Let me tell you of a case and put the beamer away for a couple of minutes. So this happened quite many years ago, and I try to tell the story so that you don't guess what company it's all about. Let's suppose we don't in Finland have a car manufacturing company, but let's suppose it was a car manufacturing company, okay? I went to see the CFO of Car Finland. This is a Car Finland early picture. And I told him that, dear CFO, we have a problem. We have DDT in the systems here, because when we look the amount of engines in our Sweden warehouse, the logistics report is saying that we have 200 engines there. Minus 200 engines there. So how on earth can we have physical products that are minus quantity? That's from the logistics report. Remember the word report. At the same time, dear CFO, the financial report claims that we have a few millions worth of engines there, actually meaning that we have there plus 300 engines. So there's like a 500 unit difference based depending on where you take the data. CFO says, hey, please give a call to Sweden and ask them to make a stock take. Somebody goes to the warehouse and sees what's the truth. The following day, dear CFO, there were 700. So the physical truth was different from the logistics report truth, was different from the financial report truth. Again, I see a few faces nodding here. Probably you have been in a similar situation. What we then did was that we started to draw a process picture and interviewing people at how does it work. And we found, within some weeks, we found 35 common pitfalls that happen there. You know, we at the factory, of course we would do it correctly, but they in the warehouse, they are sending, you know, old versions here and so forth. Very quickly we realized that we need to get data, we need to get facts. And we made a system, a process model, where we took the data from last night so that today we were able to see the global, or let's say Car Finland and all its subsidiary data on fact-based. That was the first step, and we were able to show today that yesterday in those 35 error categories we had altogether 200,000 DDT particles. A DDT particle being either a data error, we had wrong cost center, we had wrong pricing, we had something wrong with the data, or a potential process error. A potential process error could be that we have old stuff in the warehouse. There might be a reason why we have old stuff in the warehouse, but we need to dig out closer to see what's the root cause there. So 200,000 errors to start with. What we then did was that we took a couple of countries where Car Finland was selling the cars, and we drilled in more detail. And we realized that our data from different sources was correct. And the problem was in the cross-functional cooperation. The problem was that people in one function didn't really bother or realize what's happening earlier in the process phase or later in the process phase. So what we did was that we then took the process mining tool and we started to share the data near real time so that the folks in Italy saw the Italy data, nothing else but the Italy data. And similarly, all other relevant countries. And we changed the incentive model of all logistics people and finance people around the world. And guess what happened in 6 months? We were able to indisputably show that the amount of errors, together 200,000 errors where we started from, in 6 months the goal was that try to cut it by 50%. And because a large group of people incentives were tied to that target, the magic happened. We were able to receive and reach this 50% error reduction, roughly on every category. That was then repeated. The CFO said, excellent work, let's do it again. For the next 6 months, I want the error amount to be reduced yet another 50% from 100,000 less than 50,000. And it was really easy, surprisingly easy, when we get this positive movement taking in place. And 12 months from the start, we were on the level of 45,000 errors. So we were able to reduce the amount of errors for every category between 50 to 85%. We lowered inventories. We greatly improved the first time correct order rate to the customers. The amount of credit notes. Credit note is a great simple measure. because companies send credit notes when something typically went wrong. So credit note is a triple effort. First you send the invoice, and then you realize the customer tells you that the invoice was not correct. Then you need to send a credit note to erase it from your system and from the customer system, and then you do the third effort, and hopefully that this time the invoice goes correct, and you send the third invoice. So with this type of approach, you take the data, you continuously, so it's not just process discovery, but it is continuous process discovery, and believe this is a Gartner term as well, and you share the information to the places where the data is being used. Talk to your neighbor. What would be, in your opinion, the first step to start process mining? Find the scope, okay? This section, where would you start? Looking at the current situation. This one? Data, okay? One more? Let's pretend you were sitting on that side, so. Find the data. Sure. Another, the first step by coming here. Well, that's an excellent answer. No. Apologies for the smaller font. I think this is so important that I nearly read through the next 10 steps. So, no, you start by finding the sponsor. You find by finding your CFO, COO, whoever, an executive person who has the willingness to do good things for the bright future. Is it evolution or revolution? But you cannot do this without a sponsor. You fail. We fail. I've been there. Trust me. Sponsor, good. No sponsor, don't. Take data only from one source to start with, because you can do this in a week or two. This is not an expensive thing. This is easy, fast thing to do. Create the pictures, ask a few questions, and important, start to create a table like this. The tool itself, the QPR process analyzer tool itself, has great functionalities, but this type of table you probably want to do just in a simple Excel. So start to list there your findings. There we have delayed customer invoicing. What's the root cause? Our salespeople are incentivized by closing the sales, not by sending out the invoices. So is that the root cause? We have 1,216 cases of this problem at this very moment. The cost of error is 3%. We just agreed with the CFO that the cost of this type of error is 3% of the value of the invoice. If we don't send the invoice in this period, but we send it in the next period, we lose 3% of the money. So these are all made up numbers, but there you can start to see that, okay, we make discoveries and we start to put values and assumptions for the findings we have there. Next step is make the assumptions and price the findings, and then step 5 is that you go back to the sponsor and you show what you found. Now the sponsor will agree with a lot of things and probably disagree with some of the things. Great. You correct your assumptions, and you get more questions to be asked. You probably may need more data. You may wish to do this. You can imagine that the sponsor says that, these are our 4 biggest customers, but does the weight of the delivery impact the quality of a process? In 5 seconds, you can do this again and put that, okay, the first one is immaterial. Those are deliveries that have no weight. The second category is from 0 to 10 kilos, third category from 10 to 1,000 kilos, and the fourth category over 1,000 kilos. And within few seconds, you get pictures where your human eye picks the truth, whether the pictures are similar or not. So this is kind of the starting point, that you find the sponsor and you are going for discovery. You may have a scope where you start with, you may have assumptions, but actually you need to be open-minded because the word discovery means that. Step 6, you go back to the sponsor and you agree the priority. Now the sponsor says that, hey, we do lots of rework. Remember this Letkajenka case, and by the way, this happens to be the biggest potential number there we can start to hunt for. And now what we do is that with an agreed mechanism, we go back and start to talk or educate those folks in the process who are impacting that process part, those people who are working with the data. And most likely it's a cross-functional group of folks. It's not just one group of people, but it very often is several type of persons there. And you select a limited area, it might be one product group, it might be one factory, it might be one country, it might be one something. And then you practice, you try to change their behavior, you may test their incentive model, you can motivate them otherwise. And then you start to follow what happens to them, and you see the model, if it changes or not. And I can tell you, when you do clever things, things start to change really quickly. The people in the field, they feel that, hey, now we have a sponsor who is interested in this is an important thing for the company, and I want to be part of the success. So, is that it? No. The changes, the literature tells that of change programs, 70%, even 80% fail, depending how do you define the success. For me, a success is that it's a business case. I have agreed to spend this much of money for doing a change, and then over the time, so this is the time axle there, I will get this much of benefits. So a failure is that if the time slips, I don't get the benefits in 6 months, but I get them 18 months. A failure is if my project fails, costs fail, so this becomes bigger than I was expecting. A failure is that if my benefits are smaller than I expected, and quite often when failure happens, this is growing, the investment is bigger than anticipated, the benefits are smaller than anticipated, and they happen later than hoped. So this is a failure. What are reasons that if we have 100 projects, only a fistful of them are green, a majority of them are red? There's a red marker. 1 minute discussion with your colleague there, friend there, you know whom to talk to. What are the root causes of evolutions or revolutions? So let's hear that section. Why do we fail in our digital transformation, in our change journeys? Why do we fail? Come on, your neighbor has been telling you. Be brave. It's not forced to be implemented, okay? Why do we fail? We are suffocating under so many changes. Please, commitment lack. Lack of ownership. Yes, we're talking about the sponsor here. There are plenty of reasons. And again, if you are leading a project, a change initiative, I suggest that you have this question talked properly in your team. Start listing things that are preventing you to make a successful change. Lack of true sponsor. We are missing a holistic view to what we are doing. We are having too narrow thinking there. We have unrealistic plan. If we have a sponsor, they tell us to do this in 6 months, but we know that it takes 18 months to do. They don't give us enough money and resources to do that. We failed to show the value of the change quickly enough. We need to have indisputable results to be shown to get things running. Our story is vanilla. We are missing a compelling story. We are missing the revolution attitude there. We have failed so many times before. People talk, we tried this 3 years ago and it didn't work that time either. The way we work is non-cross-functional. The attitude is just missing there. And to me, the most important reason for the failure is that we don't have the right team in the core of the change. I will spend next 90 seconds explaining you the 10 characteristics of a high-performance team. Don't try to film this because this goes really quickly. Are you ready? 10 characteristics of a high-performance team. It's a group of people who want to do something which has never been done before. Never been done before. It's a group of people who are curious. They want to experience, they want to go through barriers. It's a group of people who enjoy learning. They want to do something where they learn and they raise their own value. It's a group of people who are multi-talent as a team, not as an individual, but as a team. They have splendid skills. It's a diverse team. Most importantly is the age driver. Don't do digitalization transformation with lads like me, middle-aged men. No, Don't. Have their, it's fine to have one or two of them there, but take the younger generation there. Next one, they are clever in emotional intelligence. They accept and they realize that people have feelings and they can deal with that. Changes generate feelings. They are great networkers. They are a group of people who know people in the company, who know people outside of the company. Very important. They are exceptional in communications. They find ways to do unorthodox communication. This is very important. They don't send mass mails, they don't maintain the well, they do that, but they find ways to do communication that really touches the people. And when that happens, the audience is with you. They have willpower, and it's a compact size. 10 characteristics. I added here 11th picture because I think this picture is so cool, but it has nothing to do with high performance team. Unless, I think there's some revolution taste there. So somebody had the idea that let's combine, sailing, let's combine Finnish sauna, let's combine the barbecue, let's combine the disco, and put Finnish flag there and go to show our neighbors that this is the way things can be done. You evolution guys, we are revolution here. Digital transformation and AI. The story continues where I just ended it a few moments ago. So, steps 1 to 5. The only difference now is that I've highlighted this compelling story. The very same steps: start small, do trials, find the sponsor, but now this time have much more brave story to start with. It goes the same way. You do changes, you measure the success, and what happens now is that you start to get in good benefits. You start to get gossips there that, hey, this makes sense, this makes sense. So all this you saw a few minutes ago. Now, step 11. We start to get more questions and we realize that we don't have data from one single source for the purpose. So we start to take data, well, we had data from the ERP, now we start to take data from the CRM system. And what happens is that we get bigger pictures, and the human eye is having trouble there. How does these lines go there? Fine. And our table of benefits is growing. And now the interesting thing is that we introduced a new team member whose name is AI. AI is our machine learning algorithm set, and it starts to learn with the high performance discovery team. So this is the other change there. Earlier I had the discovery team there, now it's a high performance discovery team because they have the drivers there. This gang starts to learn from the AI. So the AI starts to suggest that this problem here happens when that thing happens and the temperature in Helsinki is over 25 degrees. Something that the human brain would have never picked. Their task is to look at the finding, conclusion, and either say that yes, amazing, it's true, or no, you got it wrong way around, this is not true. So the team there will start to learn from the algorithms, and when they do that, they actually start to train the algorithm. So that's the second step in the digital transformation from this perspective. And how does the story go on? It goes to the third kind of final step of this one. The AI team member will start to take much more data. And the AI team member is there to run 24/7, and it learns faster and better than the high performance team. All of these mathematical correlations and reasonings there. And when this happens, then the acceleration of the benefits should also happen. But I claim and see that the sponsor and the high performance discovery team are mandatory there in the middle to work. The system itself will not do this alone. I think this is like second last picture I wanted to show you. So when you have this high performance team, this is something they may build up. Some people call it boringly command center, but it's not for commanding, it's an information center. So imagine this is in the corner of a one floor, and you have the team working there. So what do you have there in that type of room, space of the team? We are measuring all things, process things, and data things, and not too many of them. We are kind of showing on week level how the change is proceeding. Green magnet shows there things are going good, and those two red magnets are showing that this is something we need to improve. We know the structure of the change, we know who is running that, we have the key contacts there. This you have seen already, so we have the indisputable discovery data from one or several sources. We have the program kind of milestone picture there. We are mitigating risks. We are telling who is doing what in the next 30 days. And again, we are showing with green and red how things are proceeding, or maybe yellow. And then typically we have several projects, so we have a thermometer. So in this type of a room, your sponsor, by sitting down there, will get the pulse of the change in 1 minute. Your team members will get the change of the pulse in 1 minute, and you are on top of things. We are climbing the hill. Green spot, the summary. So, if we want to do evolution or revolution, process mining, process discovery is a fabulous way of getting facts to show the change results. We need to take in account the people. Most importantly, we need to have a strong sponsor. We need to have a compelling story, a really interesting story, so that this process model can show that the change really is happening. And we need to have there the core. In the core, we need to have a high-performance team. The data, the tool, the AI part, this is all trivial. And when all this happens, we get the excitement and we accelerate the good things happening there. And we realize that the change is a journey. And when we climb up the first hill, we may realize that there are other summits to be won. Ready to start your journey?